Hey, it's me, Renee. I'm back, and today, as you can see from the title, I got a library haul for you guys. So I went to a library, kind of was not looking for one book, and then left with like 10, as happens, at least with me sometimes. What has been happening like this last half year, I often go into a library looking for one book, come out with one of them, and then I end up not reading all of them. This time, I actually ended up reading half of them in the weekend, like the same day that I borrowed them, because I went to the library on Friday, on Saturday. So yeah, pleased with that. But yeah, let's show you the book. First, we have Wonderscape by Jennifer Bell. It's the first in the middle grade series, and it's all about these friends who get dragged into a, I wanna say, no, yeah, they get dragged or sucked into a game. So that sounds fun. And it's the first in a trilogy. Yeah, it's the first in a series. So yeah, sorry. Well, I'm saying sorry to the camera because I am. Yeah. And then we have Cinderella by Heidi Natalie Hovland. So as you can see, this is a Norwegian book. It's all about this girl who talks about, well, it's all about the story about Tinder dates and how they go and how, yeah, they're not always easy. I think it's kind of like a comedy romance. It's not like a mystery. It's not like a thriller where like she gets kidnapped and stuff. It's more like different people she meets on dates. So yeah, interesting. Didn't know about it before, but it's sounded fun enough. And then we have The Crooked Sixpence, also by Jennifer Bell. This is the first another of her series. Yeah, she obviously has a lot of series. I don't really remember where, but I remember recently seeing Jennifer Bell like on a bookshelf video on a list. I saw her name somewhere and I thought like, you know what? I want to try you out. So now I have two of her books. Sorry, I just love the library when you kind of want to try out some offers because like if you're not sure, you can try something out. And if you don't like it, no money wasted. So perfect. Vi är Ulver by Katrina Nannestad, which I'm not quite sure. Blah 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 blah. Is it a Norwegian book or is it translated? Because I live. Okay, yeah, it's originally a Swedish book, so it's telehaven, but it's not Norwegian, so it's translated from Sweden. Yes, Sweden and Norway, two different places. We don't have the same language, so yeah, they have Swedish, we are Norwegian. You probably know this if you see my channel, but hey, maybe you know, maybe you're ignorant, maybe you think we talk German in Norway because people think weird stuff. Yeah, we don't. This came out. I do know that it came out in spring, and it's gotten lots of good praise. It's middle grade, I would say, a middle grade about Second World War. But it kind of has some. Well, people have like talked about how it's kind of relevant to today because of it's about refugees and fleeing, and you can have the link to Ukraine to today's world. And so I kind of wanted to read it because yeah, people have said how it's very good and impactful and good and yeah. Um, we have might actually do an own video on this one. I'm thinking, but I'm not sure. Anyway, we have an angoli lingston by Julia Quinn, which is the fourth book, and it is in English called Romancing Mr. Bridgerton. So it's Penelope and Colin. And okay, yeah. So I was one of those people who hadn't really heard about this book series before it became a TV series, and then I thought, maybe I'm gonna read you. I didn't. I saw the first season, and the first season of Virgin. I thought you're interesting enough, but like I fast forwarded some parts because I wasn't that interested, but I did watch some parts, but the first season wasn't that interesting to me. I liked Penelope. I liked Eloise. I didn't really like a lot of the characters. So yeah, the second season I enjoyed more, but I still didn't love the romance. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like when it's a romance-based series, but like you also have other characters. But yeah, like so yeah. Okay, you know what? I want to read one of the books just kind of see how the books are. I didn't know that the books were different. But honest. Anyhow, okay. Yeah, sorry. So this one I actually finished late. Well, early today, like in two in the morning. And yeah. Honestly, it's not that good. Like it's better. No, it's better. It's I would say at least in my mind, this is one of the places where the TV series or the adaptation is better than the book because the book, the writing, it's just so. Give me a moment. But yeah, this book. Yeah. The writing, I think had problems with this book in general, but I think the main issue was the writing. Like, if if a book has like bad characters or bad this and that, it's fine. But like, I mean, because the writing is what takes you from one chapter to the next. It's all over the book, and yeah, sometimes it gets a minute to get you into writing, and like it's quirky, but after a while you enjoy it. With this one, no. Okay, honestly, I was kind of thinking last night how I would describe it. I honestly kind of describe it as kind of watching a train wreck because it's eye catching, it's interesting, but it's awful. It's not like I mean you do have this old saying, you know, the saying like it's like a train wreck. Like if you watch something, you have to watch something because it's so awful, but you can't look away from it. I feel like this. It feels mean, but yeah, I feel like this kind of have this was for me because yeah, most of the book wasn't that interesting. It wasn't that well written at all, really. Not in my mind, really. It wasn't. It was not. And I think maybe like it was also kind of frustrating because like I could see like I enjoyed I enjoyed Penelope. I could see like where she's become her TV version. I could see similarities. And I enjoyed Eloise. I enjoyed parts of them. And I suppose in a way I enjoyed the blueprints, but I didn't enjoy the final product of this one. I kind of was like just kind of thinking like how did this get made? Like sometimes when I read books where like I don't understand like why people like the book, like sometimes I can read a book and think, okay, it's good, but it's not for me. But when I read books that where I don't understand, like nothing works for me, it all falls flat. I'm just kind of thinking, well, this was published by a publisher. Like people had to see these people, like editors and agents and etc. etc. And no one picked up how awful it is. I suppose maybe I'm in the wrong here because it's a big what's the word again? It's a big best-selling series. I mean, uh, it's a it's a best-selling series. I think it's been best-selling more or less, or have more or less since it came out in like the early 2000s. It's, I, I don't understand. I kind of feel like people are hypnotized to like this book because yeah. Okay, so before picking it up, I already heard people who said like the books weren't that good and the TV series is better and all that. But yeah, but I still kind of wanted to read one of the books, and I thought, okay, so this is with Penelope. I really like her, and it's the hitting myself, and it's the next TV season, so maybe it's like a fun preparation. But even though it's a couple that I enjoy, like they're not a couple yet in TV series, but like it's characters I enjoy. Well, I suppose Colin was so different than his TV counterparts. It was just so jarring and weird. And yeah, it was just weird. And yeah, honestly, I don't really think I'll be picking up more on this series. So yeah, yeah. I mean, I suppose a small light at the end of the tunnel was that it's not a huge book. So like I didn't use lots of hours and days to read it. Like I finished it in 2 days. No, in 3 days. And technically, I started on Monday. So there's that. And yeah, yeah. Ti kniver i hjertet, which as you can see is a comic book. It's a Norwegian comic book by Nora Dosnes. And I believe, I'm not quite sure, but I'm pretty sure I'm not quite sure if it's bisexual or lesbian, but I'm pretty sure they involves a relationship between two girls. I think it's the age group is like 10 to 12. And yeah, as you can see, it's a comic book. And yeah, it's gotten some great reviews. And like, if you ask Norwegians, like, or ask someone 5 years ago for like queer books in Norwegian, you wouldn't really find that many. But lately, you found quite a few more. So yeah, that's quite exciting, really. And yeah, I kind of want to read it and see what it's about. And like there's a first Pride parade in 2 weeks close to me, and then in September there's Pride in the big city close to me. I mean, people sometimes think like Pride it's just June, but like well, there's Pride things happening all over the world in different months of all over the year, more or less. I would say it's not just the June. It's not just June, though. That's kind of supposed to the main event, but still. And yeah, something I might read this like in September, or maybe I'll read it soon because it's a comic book, so it's just fast, nice read. And yeah, and Drageskolen by Tracy West and Graham Howells. So this is the fourth book in the series. This series it started coming out last year in Norwegian, but it came out. I think it started like back in 2010. I want to say a few years back because I think it is actually like around 9 books out in English. So yeah, quite a few. I think no, there's a fifth book as also out in Norwegian, but yeah, so this is the next last in out Norwegian, but it's a popular series. Um, in case you didn't know, I work in a bookstore. Sometimes I read books to kind of like know what the popular books are like, so I can talk. No, so people can just not just ask me, "Oh, how's this book?" or "What's this book like?" And then I can say, "Honestly, I read it, and it works for those kids, or it works for that and that people." And yeah, so yeah, this I mean, yeah, I also like children's books for myself, but like this wasn't that much on my radar, except for like for work. But yeah, it's a book. It's a companion series, I want to say, because you can read them separately, but there's a universe, so you can read them. You can read them in like in correlation, like the first, second, blah blah blah, blah. Or you can read them out of order, because like you get a summary at the beginning of the book, like it's not that complicated to jump into action and to the world. And kind of the idea is to kind of like to get kids who are either A are just starting to read, or B have difficulty to read, or C doesn't like to read. So there's like lots of pictures. So there's pictures, but then yeah, so it's not so it's both text and pictures, so it makes it easier, like to get into. And then yeah, pictures all over, and then the text isn't that difficult. It's not like long book. It is, let me see, just about 100 pages. So yeah, so it's a nice enough length of the book if you're having difficulty reading. And yeah, I would say this is probably a good book for like yeah people who are in that age range. Like if you kind of just like dragons, I wouldn't say pick up this book because it wasn't that interesting. Like for me, like I like dragons. And like sometimes if you like one thing, you want to read everything about that thing. With this book, I felt like it's probably gonna work. It is probably working for like people it's meant for. But me, I'm out of the age group. Like I'm out of the age group. I read lots of books. I don't have problems with reading. I have reading enjoyment. So I'm not really in the age group here. In the age group, in target group. So and yeah, I'm not a teacher, so I don't really need it for work in that way. But like I suppose it does what it's supposed to do. But it's not really a book I'm gonna be reading more. Like a book, a series I'm gonna be reading more in. But it's nice to have read one of them to know what it's all about. Then we have Kiki's Krim, which is the first in a French comic book. So there's, I would say, pretty nice pictures. Yeah, so like, and lately, these last few years, there's been kind of more of a resurgence in Norway with comic books. So not just superheroes, but just, I mean, in Norway, we don't have never really had that much superheroes in Norwegian anyway. Like, you could like buy comic books some places here and there, but mostly like Norwegians read books, not comic books. Sadly, and well, sadly, I don't know if it's sadly or not. It is what it is. But we have started reading lots of um, graphic books. Like it's kind of been a new trend for kids to have graphic books. One of them being this one, very popular. So I thought again, okay, I should read it because then I can talk about it to my customers in the bookstore and sell it, say if they should buy this for the kids for Christmas or not. I would say it's a kind of very nice, beautiful illustrations. But like for me, I didn't really enjoy it that much. I mean, some books you can read at any age and you can love it, and some books, at least for me, I feel like you get much more out of it if you're in the target audience. This one, it was beautiful illustrations, and it was a nice story, and it's probably gonna be very nice for the kids in that age group. But yeah, for me, it didn't really work in a level than that really. Also, yeah, it didn't really have a villain. So like, if you're watching this and you have kids or you're a teacher or whatever, and if you want a book for someone who's kind of scared, who or scared easily, or wants something fluffy and nice, pick up this one because it's a story. I mean, of course, you have conflicts and things happen in stories, but it's not like a big bad villain. It's kind of beautiful illustrations and things happen. So, yeah, and sometimes that's kind of what you're looking for. So, yeah, Dragon's Øye, which is a Norwegian comic book. As I said, there's been lately a bit of a resurgence of comic books in Norwegian or comic graphic novels. This one is, I would say, pretty beautiful. I really enjoyed it. I read it on the same day. Like I read most of these books on the same day. I would say maybe it's kind of more meant for like 10 to like 16-year-olds. So I suppose you could read it when you're younger, but I would say like this one, I feel like a bit like it's more, at least in my mind, it kind of works more like for like an older age range in a way because of the characters, their age, and how it's. I mean, there's talk about hitmen and killing people and stuff like that, and you don't really want that for your 7-year-olds, do you? Well, I suppose maybe you do. I mean, what do I know about your 7-year-old? But yeah. Yeah, myself, I really enjoyed it. You can see some anime inspirations for it, but like, so the main characters are like these fairy people, and it's set in like a different world now. So like, they haven't mentioned any real world places, so I'm thinking so far it's a different world than ours. I mean, sometimes port fancy, so maybe second book will have our world in it, but yeah. And yeah, but like and people they live like in the mountain, but like very early on they go like outside of the mountain, and then you see no lights. So it's like, oh, interesting. So you have kind of have a mix because like inside it was kind of like the beginning felt kind of like Asian based, like anime based, and then when I saw like, oh, northern lights, cool. Well, I mean that's kind of, at least for me, kind of what I think I really what I think I really like about fantasy and just fiction in general. I mean, if you want, you can squeeze two things together. You can have a place that's vegan, but it could be with people talking Spanish. I mean, that's completely up to you. Like if you make up a reason why that's logical, that will be logical and fun. I mean, you can do whatever. It's your story, and yeah, yeah. This one I really enjoyed. So yeah, I would recommend this one. Well, I'm gonna say that. I mean, it's pretty sure it's not out in English, so sometimes I feel like I'm talking about Norwegian book. Probably most of my viewers are English speakers. It looks like a fun book, but you won't be able to read it. It's so mean, I feel, in a way. Like, haha, talking about a cool book, but you can't read it. Plus, it's a comic book, it's a graphic novel, so I suppose you can't read it because you can look at the pictures. But and also, maybe it will be out in English in a few years. You don't know. That might happen. Yeah. Anyway, I would recommend, like, if you want to know, anyway, I would recommend it for people, yeah, as I said, teens, or just kind of people who want a nice illustrated story about magic and enemies and a beautiful world. And yeah, I'm thinking I might actually be able to sell this for Christmas because I feel like because it's a comic book, I feel like it might be easier to, yeah, to sell to kids also because kids nowadays don't have enough time, at least know it because they just they're captured by their homework, and then they have after school activities, and then they have after work jobs and all that stuff. So they don't have time to read, which nonsense. Everyone has time to read. But yeah, I mean, sadly, as in a way, as I think a lot of places, the people who don't really read are like people from between 13 and like 40. Like after 40, there's a lot of people who read again, but like in that age range, there's a lot of people who kind of fall out of reading. And a comic book is kind of a good way to get some reading in, or some reading, like you have to do it. But like, yeah, it's fast paced, it's illustrations, so you get some words in there, but you also get a nice story, and yeah. So yeah, I want to recommend this to the people who like to read or people who want to read more, and yeah. And last two, and these are two in a series, so I'm going to talk about them together. We have Tidsmaskin, Den sørende kommer. So yeah, it's in Norwegian, but it's English originally. And then En ekte ridder. So these two are graphic novels. So originally this was a series that came out in the 90s. Back in the day, in the olden days. So this one came out actually out 30 years ago. 92. My year. But yeah, so it's all about these two siblings who they find a treehouse and they go, and that treehouse takes them to the past, different times in the past. Well, takes them time traveling. I don't know if they ever go to the future. Anyway, I think most of the time they go to the past. In this first book, they find dinosaurs, or they go to the age of dinosaurs. And yeah, it's just beautiful illustrations. And yeah, kind of some places it's kind of not that lot of text, but still, I'll still feel like sometimes it still feels like a just big story, even though like sometimes I kind of feel like comic books. It's not for me. I want text, and there's so little text in comic books. But then when I read this, I've kind of felt like sometimes places didn't really need text because you get a lot of message by the illustration. So yeah, it was just so beautiful, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. And yeah, as I said, some of these pages didn't have a lot of text, but still, you could kind of still feel like, oh, this guy is scared. Oh, this guy's happy. You could still like see things going on. You can kind of read the picture. So yeah, I really liked that. I kind of felt like the characters kind of were fully fledged, even though I mean it's middle grade, so it's meant for middle agers, middle graders. But I still really enjoyed it myself. Yeah, I really liked it. And then I also got the second book, which is set in So it's set in the Middle Ages, or like there's knights. I'm not quite sure, like because there's a crocodile in it, and I feel like, hmm, like this because like kind of seen like a kind of story set in Middle Age. I mean, you often when you think of Middle Ages, you think England, Arthur, all that jam. But like in this book, there was crocodiles, and I'm thinking like, have there ever been crocodiles in Europe? I googled, there hasn't. But like I suppose when there's a series with a time machine, should you feel like it needed that much realistic things? No, probably not. But no, yeah. But yeah, I really enjoyed both these two. I just love them so much. I feel like they will work for people who are in the age range. Yeah, I think they also work perfectly for people like me, who sometimes just want a nice little thing to read that isn't too long, and that's yeah nice. I mean, sometimes adults want small reads, and then I kind of feel like this is kind of perfect thing to pick up now and then. You learned things about different time periods. You learned uh, with this one you didn't really learn that many words. Well, some words, because I don't know. People know when they go into book. I mean, and I can't really, yeah, like, I can't really say this is a book you learn the words from because you can't know if the person you're talking to knows a lot of words before they read a book or not. So I suppose, yeah, unless you do, but like sort of often you do. Like at least now as a bookseller, you don't really do that. But yeah, and yeah, I really enjoyed these two. There's a second two coming out next year, later on in this year, and then I'm pretty sure there's kind of probably going to be all coming out in graphic novel versions. I think the original series was like 30 books, 50, a lot anyway, a lot, and yeah, and that is my little library haul. I loved. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any thoughts, comments, whatever, see you soon. Bye.